Protections.
The Green Route merch available now on sourkidsmerch.com.
Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast. I want to welcome y'all to the Green Route Podcast. I am GS.
And I am Marlissa. What's up, y'all?
Peace, y'all. We are live from two different locations. I am in my living room, and Marlissa, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, I'm at Disney World in Orlando. So, Animal Kingdom Lodge, to be exact, if you want to swing by. Yeah.
I mean, if I had that ticket, as long as I ain't got to fly Boeing to get there.
We may not ever make it.
It's kind of appealing.
Hey, I saw this meme about Boeing planes. It was like TSA now allows passengers to carry tools and and screwdrivers to help with repairs on Boeing flights.
It drops down like right up above, right next to your life jacket. We have a flathead screwdriver. We also have.
Everybody has to do their share of maintenance on Boeing flights now.
Wow.
That's crazy. But yeah, y'all, we are back. This is new for us, but as the world turns, right, we got to work. So we may do a few more of these. We'll see if, we can't be together, but you ready to hop in? Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. Go ahead, Mel.
Yeah. So, I know y'all may be sick of us, but we are going to start with Gaza again. We're going to start with what's going on with our Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza. So a couple updates, first of all, just overarching. We know that the resolution was passed by the UN Security Council calling for a ceasefire for the rest of Ramadan. Israel has completely ignored that and continued to bombard Gaza and Rafah in particular. We also got word this week that talks in Cairo apparently had some movement. And so Israel is supposed to be sending a ceasefire offer to Hamas where it means the return of hostages, right? If y'all haven't been paying attention, you should. The call is starting to come from inside the house in Israel, central Jerusalem in particular, where citizens, right, are calling for Netanyahu to resign and elections to be held because he is doing so little to bring people home. But I want to point out something, and I said this online earlier this week, that just because they are criticizing the Israeli government does not mean they are pro-Palestine. I want to point that out. We are not saying that, these people are, no, they may still be Zionists, but they just want their uncles and aunties home. So what we really want to talk about today, y'all, is the aid workers that were killed in an airstrike in Gaza. So this was the World Central Kitchen. This is a Washington-based organization. So this is a U.S.-based organization that had aid workers in Gaza. One of the few organizations, by the way, that can get aid workers in there. So they had just finished unloading, I think it said 100 tons of food, right? And they were in what was considered a deconflicted zone. So there was not supposed to even be any fighting where they were passing through. They were in vehicles, all of the things. And Amy Goodman actually was the one who updated me on this. They had coordinated their movements with the Israeli Defense Forces. So the Israeli Defense Forces knew that they were going to be there, what path they were taking. They were killed in an airstrike. There were a few foreign nationals, including one person who was a U.S. Canadian dual citizen. There was a Polish person, a couple of UK citizens, Australian. The driver was Palestinian, and I feel like I'm missing one more country.
It was an Australian, a British person, American, half American, half Canadian citizen. Who else? I want to say it was one more country. one more country. But it was really I guess the organization itself is composed of citizens from around the world. I mean, it's really made up of people from anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it even more crazier. It's a lot to be said about this, but number one, they have been working, according to I read a New York Times article. One of the aid workers who works for the kitchen, he talked about how they've worked in so many different places. They've worked in war-torn places. They were like, we don't care whether you left, right, consider this, consider that, Arab, Muslim, anything. We have served the entire world. We've been in Africa. We've been in the Middle East. We've been in multiple places doing this job. And it's a shame that I want to say that they said this is the first time they have directly been attacked.
Yeah.
First time they've directly been harmed. No one has been killed in this manner ever, because in the article he talked about how they specifically, he's like, there is no go around when you're in these spaces. You have to talk to whoever's in leadership. You have to talk to whoever's on the ground. Like, you have to have a connection or legitimate connection with the powers that be in the area before we go in, because their top priority is to protect themselves first going in there. And so because they've been doing it. So to me, that speaks to, I guess their, not their professionalism, but just the fact that they have so much experience in this. Like, this shows how much this should not have happened.
Right.
Because they've been doing this, and they've been taking all the precautions. They've been in war zones. They've been in these spaces before.
Yeah.
Yet it's still the IDF still went against everything and attacked them. And that's the part. I don't think that they're smart. I don't think that they're bright. I think that they're doing a lot of things that for sure come off as war crimes. Again, I'm still thinking about those 3 men who were just walking. They dropped the bomb on them. Thinking about how this one Palestinian man was just trying to go from one spot to another. He was waving a white flag because he knew that the IDF soldiers were down the street, and he was just waving it like, hey, I'm just walking. And he was shot. He was killed. There's just, it's when you get the opportunity, when you have the freedom to murder without any impunity,
that's
this
right.
is what it looks like.
And it's crazy. You make a great point. Like, at this point, it is murder with no impunity, right? And that takes me to the fact that, Biden put out a statement saying he was just outraged by, the killing of these aid workers. But in the same statement, we don't have any plans to change our support or our policy around Israel. And that, to me, that just says, like, I mean, we talked about it last week, right? Like, it's like having a kid that just keeps doing the shit that you tell them not to do. And instead of there being some type of consequence, like, you reward them with a piece of chocolate cake. So when I see things like that, like, it just, I'm at Disney World. You hear the kids? Good God. But yeah, when I see stuff like that, it makes me feel played as an American, right? Like, because it's like, I'm paying your bills, but you're literally looking at me and being like, yeah, I'm gonna sit up in your house and you can pay all my bills, and I'm gonna still bring women left and right up in here and disrespect you. Like, it's disrespectful on so many levels. And the thing that I think Biden is really coming under fire for this week when it comes to Israel is this pending $18 billion sale that includes 50 F-15 fighter jets. So you can't say that, we're doing our best to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, and Israel needs to do more to protect citizens, and they've gone overboard in their response, and then you're still willing to play your role as the biggest arm dealer around the world.
To me, it just goes to show that the military-industrial complex is more powerful than any governmental system
Yep.
it's more powerful.
Yeah.
It's proved to us this is the top dog when it comes to foreign relationships. It's not about trade. It's not about protecting the democracies of other countries. It's not about any of that. They have shown us that the military industrial complex prevails over everything. And the military industrial complex is just simply, we sell you weapons, you pay our bills. No matter where these weapons going, no matter who you're harming, no matter what it is, the almighty dollar is what's more important. And we're going to put these press secretaries in front of you. We're going to give the president all kinds of words that they can say that'll make them look remorseful, that'll make them, not really speak directly to what's happening. We're gonna keep on doing that to cover it up. Like, and it's funny because I was watching one of the Democracy Now! Interviews, and they were interviewing someone who used to work. I want to say they worked within the defense, and I think Amy asked him, like, do they not know how serious this is? Are they like only do they not know? And he was just like, he's like, no, they don't know. But he was like, they don't know because they're not asking their lawyers these questions. That's why. Like, if they were to ask their lawyers about, human rights violations, specifically how it's defined via American law, they would know. Their lawyer would tell them.
Wait, who is they?
They would know, as in like the American government.
Got it. Okay.
They would know, but they're not asking their lawyer. They're simply just not asking their lawyers these questions. So it is a coordinated effort to completely ignore the deaths, to completely gloss over. It is a coordinated effort so that guns and weapons could keep getting sold. I would think it's the narrative of just them not controlling their little brother. I would think it was that if we wasn't selling them nothing. But no, someone is getting paid, and someone wants to keep getting paid.
Oh yeah.
So this is gonna be something that's gonna last. And this is gonna be something that's gonna last for a while. Because I see them now. I see Israel. And I'm not sure. Maybe I was tripping, but I was. I wanted to say I had watched some short documentary, and it talked about how, for one of the early Zionists, their goal was to take over the entire region.
I can see it. I mean, the place they had, the two places where you've allowed them to stay, right? The West Bank and Gaza have both been occupied. And now Gaza, like, they're literally being pushed damn near into Egypt at this point. And so remember that at one point, Netanyahu had requested that Egypt take Palestinian refugees. And Egypt was like, nah, that's not my business. You need to figure out how to get these people back to where they belong. So, yeah, I mean, you watch and kind of see how these people have literally been squeezed into this tiny. Gaza is already small, right, in comparison to even some of our major cities here. But when you look at like Rafah, right, like it's damn near an apartment building when you kind of try to think of how these people are living. Like, I can't even call it that. Like, I don't even know how to put it. Like, it's like putting bunk beds in every corner of a room and telling people they can sleep 2 and 3 in each bed. And so, yeah, he doesn't want them there. And it's obvious that even settler violence has shown that you have created this culture and this environment where people believe that this belongs to them, and they can go to someone who has been there, their family has been there, and say, you got to leave. And if you don't, I have the right to, extend whatever violence I feel like in order to get that land up off you and have you go somewhere else. So I don't disagree at all. I don't know what the documentary is that you were watching, but I think his actions even right now show that you have no interest in them finding a place to resettle. You just want them.
And also, there was another article that came out, right-wing Israeli, with one person from their cabinet, and he basically called for the settling of Gaza right now. He said it's time for us to go on into Gaza and start to settle that land.
Mm-hmm.
And would be an absolute. He said, what did he say? It would be. He said something to the effect of it would be like a slap in the face to the fallen soldiers if they don't go in there and go ahead and start doing that right now. It's like y'all are insane. It's just for me. It's just like this. Overall, this is insane. But it's just they really don't know. They know no bounds. They know no bounds. Mm-hmm. Like they are. This is truly what a hateful echo chamber looks like, because in their mind they're going so far and they're doing these things. They're reinforcing all of their worst ideas within each other, and it's not stopping. It's like every other day. It's like every other day. Not only the murder, the murders and the genociding is still continuing, but their higher ups are making decisions that are just like, damn. Like if this was any other country doing this, America either would have completely ignored it. Let's be clear, because America has ignored genocides and warfare and all that in other places. Or if they would have realized like something that they're invested in is being threatened, then they would have been there sent troops. They would have been there sent troops. They would have been, or at least put injected within the media how terrible this country is.
Right.
You add any other name to it, it would have been, oh no, they're terrible. We're like, it's just interesting because we watched what happened with Russia and Ukraine. We watched how that even started and how America was just anti-Putin and sanctions.
Wait to get over there.
Exactly. Like when you're dealing with a country that you don't necessarily agree with, that's the aggressor, you have all the smoke for them.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were talking, it was so funny because it was almost like I left my body and was like looking down, like, is this life? Like, are these the times we are living in when our country can sit back and know it's genocide? No, see it unfolding, be a part of it, and still be playing in our faces like, they have the right to defend themselves. Like,
no, like what are you saying? And the thing is, the real part about it is to be told, the part that we really need to be the most worried about are the after effects. When this is done, when this is over, whatever objective Israel achieves, and they're like, okay, we're good, we're done bombing and killing, and we're done doing whatever. When this is over, there's going to be so much fallout. There's going to be, I don't even think we realize how bad it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm not calling for violence. I'm not calling for anything. But at the same time, violence usually only begets more violence.
Touche. Yep.
All right. So Alabama right now is considered the most far right in their elimination of DEI programs within public institutions. Number one, it's going to be effective October 1st, 2024. So in a few months, it's going to be cut. Mm-hmm. I'm going to read specifically. It says the act forbids public entities, including state agencies, local boards of education, public institutions of higher education, from maintaining a DEI office or sponsoring any DEI program that advocates for a divisive concept. That's the part where the bullshit comes in. It's Alabama, so it's already gonna be some bullshit. But specifically, that part in the text, a divisive concept. Divisive to who?
Yeah. They said that the purpose of the bill, I think it's SB 129. The purpose of the bill was to prevent like indoctrination and like hate speech, which I don't understand. So you're saying if you have a DEI program, who's being indoctrinated exactly? Like who are they afraid for?
It's interesting because we know that they're not talking about our children. They are doing this to protect their own children, because I think what they're starting to realize is It's the same reason why they're trying to ban TikTok. They're realizing that the truth, the truth knows it doesn't discriminate.
Right? Yep.
And the fact is, their children are waking up and realizing, like, hey, not only has America done some foul shit, but presently they're doing some foul shit. And it's like, it's something about accountability. Again, it's anything that white racists use against black people, I can almost guarantee in some weird shape, flipped way, it is something that they themselves are fighting. Because again, part of their big thing is black people need to be more accountable. Black people need to be more accountable. The only way that you can be more accountable, number one, is if you have the correct information.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other side, when it comes to them, the only way that these folks who have supported systemic oppression for years, the only way that they can be held accountable is by looking up the facts, looking up the information, and they don't want to teach the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking through so some of their divisive concepts. This is another interesting part. That any race, color, religion, sex, ethnicity, or national origin is inherently superior or inferior. So you can't, that's considered a divisive concept. So basically us using the word white supremacy would be considered a divisive concept.
Right.
So that's even though we all know that white supremacy exists.
Right.
The idea of white supremacy exists, and it manifests itself in every aspect of American life. What was another one I thought was interesting? It said that individuals, this is a divisive concept, the concept that individuals should be discriminated against or adversely treated because of their race, color, religion, sex, ethnicity, or national origin.
Who's teaching that outside of them?
I was
never taught that someone should be discriminated against.
I'm saying that, again, they're looking at it from the perspective of white people should not be discriminated against because they are white.
But who teaches that? Like
nobody. They feel discriminated against when you choose to do things that are specifically for black people, specifically for Latino communities. When you say this is something that's trying to, that's what I'm saying. That's a response to that part. If you say that you are trying to, create programs for Native Americans on reservations, specifically Native Americans on reservations who deal with alcoholism, you are now discriminating against non-Native American people. You see what I'm saying?
The level of narcissism is insane to me. Like, to have to be centered in all things is like, and I've dealt with a narcissist before. So as you were talking, I literally went back to that relationship.
I've never seen a groupie narcissist. Like, I have, but I mean, like, you're right. That's exactly what it is. Continue. My bad.
Like, the moment you were decentered, all of a sudden you're discriminated against. Like, and no one is saying that, like, hey, we're erasing you, which we have been. Let's be clear. Like, no one is saying I'm erasing you. I'm just saying I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking about to the people in the back who haven't been able to hear me for the last 400 years of the lecture. That's who I'm talking to. I want to put a microphone in my hand and a speaker back there so they can hear me. Like, that's why we don't call it like equality all the time. That's why we sometimes say equity, because when you look at like equality, that means everybody gets the same amount starting now. But when you look at equity, you have to account for what's happened in the past. Mm-hmm. And that's all that affirmative action was supposed to be about. Like, they have that great example of, we couldn't even start the race for 400 years. Yeah. And then we actually could start the race. We had literally like a cross on our backs to run with on the track with y'all. And so we were still being slowed down. And so that's when you look, that's equity, right? That's looking at what you have done in the past to keep people out of the race or slow down in the race and saying, how can I make you whole? Because they've been whole and getting yours. So it baffles me. And one more thing I want to say, and this is an example I had. You talked about the youth, right? And I think this is Generation Alpha, like the little ones that's coming up right now. So Gen Z, what are they, like 20 something, maybe late teens, 20 something, and then you have Alpha. So I was at a restaurant the other night, and this lady sits down with her son. He was 8. And he starts talking to me about we're eating hibachi or whatever, right? Kid is having a great time. So we're all eating. We start eating. And the people who work at the restaurant are getting ready to shut down. It was late. So they start cleaning with lemon Lysol, which to me means y'all clean your restaurant. Thank you. I can actually really appreciate that. This woman stops everyone's dinner and was like, you guys have to clean with lemon Lysol while people are eating. And like everyone just kind of looks at her like, wow. So the lady, of course, who's running the restaurant, the manager, she was like, I'm sorry. Like, we're getting ready to shut down. So, we're cleaning up around you. This baby looks at his mother and says, Mom, can you stop? You're acting like a Karen.
Look at God. Look at God.
I put some rice in my mouth and kept eating.
Wait, you were there? You heard this and experienced this in real life?
And you know what she said to this child?
What did she say?
She looked at him and said, you shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth.
I said, oh. So when you talk about not wanting that baby to learn that everyone deserves to be treated well, because I promise you, she wouldn't have done that in another venue. She did that because she saw easy targets. I know that for a fact. Everyone there was probably immigrant or first generation, had an accent, age, all of that, right? And she felt she could one up them, and her baby called her out. And I was like, and this is why they don't want TikTok. This is why they don't want him learning this shit in school. Because if he's willing to call his mama out at 8, oh baby.
Oh, Karen is I love it. I love it. This is also why in Florida right now they're banning all social media from kids under a certain age.
Yep.
And it's like, I think it's under 14 or something. It's something like that. But it's they're banned. It's just like they really want to keep their kids in this hole. So before we leave this topic, I want to go to one last one that I thought was interesting. Another divisive concept is that fault, blame, or bias should be assigned to members of a race, color, religion, sex, ethnicity, national origin on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, ethnicity, or national origin. That part, to me, that divisive concept is basically the one that's going to absolve them from past bullshit.
Yeah.
No, there's no group, that's a divisive concept. Saying that a particular group actively try to keep voters from voting, which is one of their rights here in America, to say that one group, even though you can find there's plenty of evidence to support a statement that puts this one group as the culprit, that's a divisive concept. So it's just interesting how they're trying their best to now not only again, we already knew that they were sweeping over this. Like, we already knew that they just ignored all this history, but now they're trying to legislate, make it illegal for us to even discuss what they've done in the past.
Ciao.
And that's insane to me. How is it now illegal, or it's going to be illegal in Alabama to put funds towards finding out who did this?
Yep. It's Fahrenheit 451 plus some. Like,
it's insane, but
yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next topic. Texas Appeals Court overturns a 5-year sentence on Crystal Mason for casting a ballot while on supervised release. So, for a lot of, I think during that time, for a lot of people, they didn't realize, number one, let's be clear, there was an entire media ploy that went out. No, it was a media ploy, but it was actually them using the scare tactic. They went and tried their best to find everybody who they felt like illegally voted, and they sent the police on them.
Yep.
Again,
dead people are voting, and there was one lady.
It was one dead person. It was anything to substantiate their claims, and come to find out, it wasn't. First of all, wasn't that many who were voting illegally, because that shit was. It was. We all know that was bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because who wants to risk their freedom?
Right.
Voting. Oh no, there were some. They were Republicans.
I was gonna say the one dead person that voted, the wife who cast the ballot was a Trump supporter. Yeah. I want to point that out. So yeah, she cast her dead husband's ballot for Trump, of course.
So in a sense, they were right that there were people who were trying to illegally vote for the purpose of getting their person in power, but it was their side. It was the conservative GOP side. They tried to make an example out of folks who had formerly been incarcerated, and through some gray area laws, they could arrest them. Yeah. So there were police officers who were showing up to people's houses, and they were like, to be honest with you, we don't even know why you're being arrested. We just know that we have to arrest you. We don't even specifically know the law that you broke. And all of them who were formerly incarcerated, most of them made statements like, my PO told me that I could vote.
That's it. That's it.
We were informed that we could actually do this. Mm-hmm. So Crystal, being one of those people who were informed that you paid your debt to society, you should be able to.
That's it.
Unfortunately, they used that against her for that period of time. So it was a scare tactic, but it didn't. Thank God that it didn't go all the way through.
Yeah, and like, you're absolutely right. This was she got caught up during the time when people were starting to talk about like widespread voter fraud. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, y'all, she was on supervised release for federal tax evasion, right? So she's not like a violent criminal or anything like that. She's on supervised release, and she cast a provisional ballot in the 2016, election. So again, Gabe is absolutely right. Like, they needed someone to put up and say, hey, look, like, these people are, and I'm pretty sure she voted Democrat, right? Which is why she became the center of their attention. Mm-hmm. So, hey, look, this lady, wasn't supposed to be able to vote. Now, one thing that I had to, that I was really glad to learn when I was like reviewing this, was the folks who were accusing her of this have to be able to prove that she voted with like malicious intent. So that means that she either knew she wasn't supposed to be voting and voted, or not either. That's what it is. She knew she wasn't supposed to be voting and voting. They could not prove that. So 7 years she fought this case, y'all. For 7 years she fought this case, and she maintained through the entirety, the span of the case, that she did not know she wasn't supposed to vote. And Gabe said it 100% clear, right? A lot of times they are told, like, yes, you've paid your debt. You can now exercise your democratic right to vote. So I would love to know why she thought that, if she was told that, or she just assumed like, hey, I'm outside, I can vote, no problem.
And let's be clear here. The history of racism within this country, again, this would be a DEI issue if I discussed this somewhere else.
Yes.
History of voting, or at least the taking away of that right, had a lot to do with formerly enslaved Black people. Mm-hmm. We didn't even gain the right to vote until years later. And when we finally did get the right to vote, that's when we had poll taxes. That's when we had literacy tests.
That's right. Yep. Now you got crazy ID requirements and
again, the incarceration aspect. You can't even vote if you are a quote unquote convicted felon. They had that for the longest. And it's like, and when you think about it, it's like, are they not people too? Do they not have an understanding of who they'd want in power? Are y'all worried that they're going to elect a criminal?
Right. Imagine that.
Imagine that. Imagine them electing a criminal.
That'd be crazy if that happened.
Imagine. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how that kind of works?
Oh my goodness.
So y'all, this again, the system never ceases to amaze me. The taking away of the right to vote is inherently racist anyway. So let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
And you be told they may have gotten what they wanted, because if I were Crystal going through all this, I would never vote again.
That, and it was crazy. That's what she didn't say that word for word, but she was like, you know, had I known that my freedom was at risk, I wouldn't have voted.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, yeah, alluding to the fact that shit, I may not vote again because I may be accused again of some shit.
And let's be clear, that's another part of that scare tactic. Again, I think what we all have to understand is when racists, let me say this, when government backed racists, things like this is the point of it. This is the reason for it.
Yeah.
When you have, their goal is to not only stop that person, but send a message to everyone else. So they want people who have been incarcerated to question whether or not they can vote.
And y'all, information is going to be your best friend for this 2024 election. So if you have someone in your life that has been incarcerated, that may be on parole, whatever, like, I'm not saying go get in a business, but it is worth, at least if y'all are close enough, having a conversation like, hey, I want you to vote, right? Can we make sure that you don't become a target? Like, I feel like those of us who are very good at finding information owe that to our loved ones who may, you know, either be paroled or supervised release or something like that. Like, I have somebody in mind right now in my family that I'm gonna go check on before November, just to make sure.
And like I said, these are scare tactics. It's no different from them bombing the aid workers. That wasn't unintentional.
Yeah.
They bombed and killed those aid workers to keep other aid workers from doing it. The same tactic. They put Crystal Mason through the ringer through all of this, just so that they could send a message to other people to not vote.
That's it.
Look like her to not vote. These are scare tactics, y'all. They all cut from the same dirty ass, filthy, contradictory. They all cut from that same shitty cloth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but when it made, I don't think I told you, but when I was in Mexico about a month ago, like, I got caught up in some bullshit with customs, and it was I was literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But because I was near what had happened, you know, they looked at me and was like, "You come over here," and I was just like. And the funny thing is, like, everybody I was with was freaking out. My sisters, they're freaking out. But it's interesting because when you are actually informed and you know what's what, you don't even have to trip. Like, so the dude was like, I need you to come to the, the immigration office. I was like, yeah. And I followed him into the office, no problem. And he was just like, he's like yelling and screaming the whole time. I'm calm. Because not only do I know this is bullshit, but I also know that I can probably make a couple calls back to Dallas and wrap this whole shit up, right? And it's so interesting to me that when you do have the right information and they realize, like, oh, we can't really bullshit her, like, how differently, even cops, right? You can stop cops, right? If you know your rights, and if you're calm about delivering them in a way that says, like, I'm not intimidated, I'm not insecure, like, I'm actually cool, you the one doing too much right now. It's amazing how quickly their energy shifts. I didn't even get to the office before the dude looked at me and was just like, you know what, just go ahead. Just go where you were going. And I was like, okay, thank you. And will. Because I think he realized, like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to bribe, to get no money out of her. Like, because I already knew what it was about. Like, he was trying to say that, like, I got caught up with some shit where you can just pay the fee. No, I'm good. I'll go talk to you about what you said I did.
Yeah, we can have a conversation about that, but those are the tactics that they use.
That's it.
Those are tactics that have spread from America to everywhere else.
But yeah, and it's really just about knowing and truly knowing. I'm talking about true knowing, y'all. What's right, what's wrong, what rights you have, all of that. So even in this case, right, with Crystal Mason, she didn't know, and thank God that they weren't able to prove that she knew. And she maintained her innocence in that I did not know I couldn't vote. But that's why it's important to read, to make sure you're watching the green route, to like do these things so you can be like, you can defend yourself against these systems that really want to make examples of us and to scare other people.
That's all it takes. Whenever I think about situations like that, I think about the young brother who was accused of stealing the backpack, ended up in Rikers, never went to trial, and ended up coming out and killing himself.
Yeah, he was young too. He was a teenager when he went in there.
He was a teenager when he went in there. What was my brother's name? I know.
Didn't Jay-Z help to get him released?
Yep, Malik. Yep, Jay-Z did help.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, he committed suicide when he was out though, right? When he committed suicide. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Khalif Browder, my bad.
Khalif, yep.
Khalif Browder. Let me say the ancestor's name, our brother's name, Khalif Browder. It's that same situation. It's the same situation with the Central Park 5. Same situation. It's exploitational, and it sucks that, again, this is what they use their power for.
Yeah.
This is what they use their power for. But all right, y'all, we can go on the DEI. The reason why DEI is absolutely necessary so that we can remember these instances because they won't, and they don't want us to.
They don't want to, yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
All right, y'all. We're going to try to get through these next two real quick because I think both of us probably got to go. So minimum wage has gone up in California, and a lot of y'all probably heard about this, but 500,000 workers in California on Monday, the 1st of April, they got a raise to $20 an hour for minimum wage. So, of course, this is impacting a lot of fast food workers, right? Because fast food chains, especially very large chains, do tend to pay minimum wage. Well, that's fine and dandy, right? The whole point of raising minimum wage is so that people can keep up with the raise in cost of living. Rents are high, mortgages are crazy.
Exactly.
Costs are insane. Food is insane. So the whole point of giving this raise, and I don't even want to say giving, right? Because it's something they earn, absolutely deserve. But the whole point of this raise was so that people can afford to live. Nobody's like asking to, have an outlandish life. It's just we live.
This is. What is it? What would I call this? This is the philosophy that I wish more people would understand. If you work a full-time job, 40 hours a week, whatever you choose to consider full-time, whatever your state considers full-time, whatever, you should not be poor.
Yep.
You should not struggle for housing and to feed yourself. The basic things that humans need, the basics. Again, we ain't talking about luxury, extravagant living. We ain't saying that. We're saying the basics. Everyone deserves to live a certain standard. Yep. We call it a standard of living. I was going back and forth with somebody in a Say Cheese article. They was talking. It was like the wage went up for like or there were Waffle House workers who had did a walkout, who were they were on strike because they wanted to get more pay, because a lot of them were dealing with bullshit at Waffle House. Because for some of y'all know, Waffle House is a 24-hour spot, and it can go down depending on wherever this Waffle House is. But they wanted more money. They deserved it. And people were in the comments is like, well, shit, don't work at Waffle House. What the fuck you mean when you work at Waffle House? Da, 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 da. And I just was like, can I come to your job? All y'all folks who saying all this shit, this slick shit, can I come to your job? Can I tell you what I think you should make? Absolutely not. Right. So if y'all don't work for Waffle House, y'all not in their shoes, which it seems like none of you are. How the hell can you tell them what they should want in terms of work? That's real.
That's like, it's people always got like commentary on other people's shit. Like, you don't know people's lives. You can say what you would do in that situation, but like even then you're not them. So the situations are not the same. Like
it's that. And the reason why it's not the same is because y'all don't want to work for Waffle House. Like, y'all don't want to work in these positions.
Yeah.
And y'all think that because you don't work for them or you're above them, like, it's classism. Would truth be told, a lot of y'all ain't even got no job. Let's be clear. Y'all on internet typing. let's be clear there.
That's real. And it's so funny because unless you worked in the service industry at some point, like, you don't know hard work. I'm gonna be like, unless you worked in service, some type of construction, some type of like, and it's like, I look at the dude who does my lawn, and I mean, I got a nice sized lot over there, and I'll be looking at him sometimes in the summer like, yo, I think I know hard work, and I don't. Like, Carlos knows hard work. This man.
Look, I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's really a walk a mile in my shoes type situation. Some of y'all have no real idea as to what these people have to go through to make their own money. Mm-hmm. Now, we all know that if people could make more money, if they had other opportunities, then they would. To be told, that's why we're fighting for these things. That's why we need DEI. That's why we need all these things so that people can become better informed, so that they can treat people better.
Yeah.
Treat workers better. So they can treat citizens better. So it's just like, So props to California for doing that. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I hope it continues to make that group mad. That's what I hope.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say before we go to the next last topic is, yes, shout out to California for this, but I'm actually kind of hoping that there is going to be a little bit of government oversight, because what we're already seeing is big companies, like particularly the McDonald's and KFCs and Pizza Huts of the world, saying things like, oh, if I got to pay them $20, I really only have three options. Either I have to raise prices on the customers to absorb the blow. I have to cut employee hours, or I have to close some restaurants and then funnel that money, right, that the human capital money, into other remaining restaurants. And so instead of them like saying, okay, yeah, we're paying $20 so that people can afford life, they're finding a way to recoup it so that it still ends up coming out of people's pockets. So if you pay me $15 right now and nothing else in my life goes up, then I officially got a raise. But if you pay me $15 right now, and then all of a sudden you increase the price of food by 2%, and then housing goes up by 5%, well, you've eaten up the raise that I just got, which doesn't make life any better for us. So I'm a little worried about profits not like going down when it comes to these big companies, and instead them finding ways to pull in more revenue in order to funnel it into the pockets of employees, which just hurts them in the long run anyway.
Right.
It's not a raise.
My hope is that it forces state governments to enforce better regulatory practices.
Yes.
Because we already know that, like you said, that's what's going to happen. A lot of these companies are going to look at their bottom line, and they're going to say, what other way can we absorb this loss? Don't get me wrong.
Because I'm not giving up my salary.
We would love to, make it, no, actually they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't even joke around with that. But we know that it's not coming out of their pockets. That's clear. If I got my $50 million bonus last year, I better be getting a $55 million one this year. I better be still getting my $60 million, even though I don't need that shit. Yep. I better still be getting it. So so my hope is that, if anything, it puts a stronger lens on these corporate entities, and we pay attention to how they move in order to create laws that will keep them from, in a sense, what do you call that when you like get back? When I'm revenge. It's another word for revenge, but the more professional corporate way of saying it. Retaliation. That's what I'm looking for. So my hope is that they put a lens on them so they can pay attention to their retaliatory practices, and regulate that, because we already know they're going to retaliate against workers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In whatever way they can, they're gonna do that. So
sure. Yep. And lastly, let's talk about NCAA women's basketball. Can I say real quick before we get into the drama of it all?
Mm-hmm.
I love that I am living in a time and place right now where like women's basketball is getting a lot of respect. As someone who grew up playing basketball and
you're a bowler, you're a hooper too, so you know.
But someone who had to just defend the athleticism and the sportsmanship of women from the and so I am also, so I'm about to be 36, right? I am of the generation where when I was young, there weren't even girls' leagues or teams. So me and my sisters had to play with the boys. Like that's how I started playing, was because
now you were aging yourself now. Back in your day,
seriously. So when I look and there's whole like AAU leagues for girls, I'm like, that's crazy, because it just what like when I started playing, you know, a lot of us start at like local parks near our schools and stuff, right? Or near our houses. So yeah, even at the parks, like there were no girls teams. Like that didn't come up until later. So I just love that I'm living in a time where, you know, like there are record breaking like audiences and attendance like for these games. And I love that, you know, yeah, there's the razzle dazzle, but one of the beautiful things about women's basketball in particular, and I've even talked to like some of my guy friends who are like true ballers, like they study the game. They're like, if you want to watch like how to play the game, you watch women. If you want to watch the flair and like, you know, how to sell tickets, yeah, you watch the men. And so I really appreciate that we're getting a little bit of both with NCAA women's basketball now. So yeah, that's my point.
I'll say women's basketball, college women basketball is the most entertaining thing to watch. I'm gonna be honest. If you think about everything in their prime, I mean, the only thing that probably is in competition are the actual Super Bowl, the actual finals. Now, these are professional level sports organizations that college women's basketball is being compared to, and it's like it's living up to the hype. It was a TikTok that went viral, and it was just like it's like basically how the joke was about how men have to let out their misogyny so they can fully enjoy it. It was like a dude walked in on his homeboy. He's like, "Oh, what you watching? College women's basketball?" And he was like, "What do you do?" And then he just kept. He was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And the dude just kind of was like, "This is really." He was watching it and he couldn't come to terms with himself really enjoying it. He just was spurting out misogynistic things, but he's like, "Oh, this is." And when he finally got it out, it's like a demon he had to shake. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this fire. This is good. You're good. This is because the thing is, sports. Let's be clear here. The history of sports was created just as an object of pure entertainment. Of the goal was to also in a sense keep a population from focusing on the negative shit in their life. Rome, the sports coliseums in Rome. Yep. Everybody felt like
you're the one who taught me. Somebody taught me about that. You may have been the one who like first gave me a glimpse into that, because I didn't know that history. I had no idea.
That was the whole point of sports. Like you think about the Roman Empire realizing that they are on their way out the door. They had to build those coliseums. They had to build these things to bring up morale. Like the whole point of my point was sports created. The sole purpose of sports was to be entertaining. Yeah, they have reached it. They've gotten it. They have gotten it. They have developed their stars. They have people who are shout out to Angel Reese. Shout out to Angel Reese.
Oh yeah, she the shit.
Yeah, so it's she's just once again, she and her team, the LSU Tiger women's basketball team, they're showing us yet again how contradictory this nation is. How two entities can do the same exact thing, but one entity is seen as less than because of it. So it's just the double standard. So I love them for revealing the double standard. I love them for balling. Yeah, I love Flaw J. I love Angel Reese. Morrow. I see them. And truth be told, college women's basketball, a part of the reason why it's so entertaining is because it's violent. They are dirty with each other.
What was the big fight? Was that South Carolina a couple weeks ago?
South Carolina had one. They had one. So I'm just like, don't get me wrong. I don't believe in violence, but at the same time, and I definitely don't. And I might come off as, I don't know how I'm gonna come off, but I know this is not the right thing to think or say, but the women is more tougher than the men. They're flopping around or something. Politically correct, and they still being, don't get me wrong, they get a little chippy with each other, but they not doing it like them.
Yeah.
The women, they just not giving a fuck. They bowing each other, they pushing each other, they talking shit. It's somebody said, what was the quote? Hold on, I'm gonna read this one tweet.
You remember Brittany Griner when she was at Baylor, she was like slapping the dog shit out of people. I don't know if you remember how violent she was in college.
Look, somebody tweeted this. Somebody said, Angel Reese cussing everybody out. Caitlin don't give a fuck about passing. Flau'jae a rapper. The players got real beef. The coach a misogynist. The game I fell in love with. It took women to get us back to our roots.
I'm saying.
I'm saying, like, yeah, even the toxic parts, hey, they got all the elements.
What you said, it's about entertainment, right? Like, it's supposed to be like the character arcs are amazing when it comes to like women's basketball right now. The character development is incredible. Yes. So even with the Caitlin Clark thing, so I don't know if you've seen the most recent drama with her. Well, not necessarily her, but Ice Cube. Did you see that he offered her $1 million to come play in his league? And so, of course, other like ball players was like, you can't. So this is the first time you've ever thought about a female basketball player. And I mean, these are like women's from like the Aces, right? Like Vegas Aces, they've been killing the game for the last couple of years, like killing that shit. And so now the question, and it kind of leads back to that LA Times article, is like, wait, did she get $1 million offer because of the way she looks? Because we've absolutely had some standout players like, where has this been? So there was the question of like, is it, a color thing, kind of similar to that article, right? Where LSU was called, what they call them, the dirty debutantes, and Iowa was called America's sweethearts. Mm-hmm. But then I think too, like, I think Ice Cube is an opportunist. We've seen it before. So he sees, the top scorer, right, in all of NCAA history. He's like, I can make some money off of her, so I'll give her $1 million and she'll give me 50.
That's all. That's all that was. I don't think he was trying to shit on, past or current WNBA players. I think that was that's a money grab. That's a.
I think so too. But I do think it's worth pointing out that if it was about the game and if it was about the people, which he has kind of dubbed this league as being about, like, you probably would have made some offers in the past.
Yeah, agreed.
You probably, but Caitlin, get your money if that's what you want.
Caitlin, get your money because Caitlin is talented. Caitlin can shoot that motherfucker. She's nice. She nice. Let's just be clear.
She's talking 27 feet. Like, it's just dumb.
She is dumb. Ooh, like, you can't do nothing but respect it. That's how you know. That's how you know college women's basketball. When you see the skills showing, no matter how ugly they like, I'm glad that we're on the side to where we can look at it a little bit more objectively. There are people who don't want to give Angel Reese her flowers because she talks, because how she talks, how her mannerisms and all that shit. And it's just like, nah, we give credit where credit is due. Caitlin is a baller, Angel Reese is balling, all of them. Like, and that's why we love college women's basketball. Don't change.
And let me give a shout out to Angel Reese though, because not only did she have to go out there and beat Iowa, she had to beat a whole lot of people who talk shit about her because of the way that she talks. And I love her for calling it out. Like, she's not, she Gen Z, first of all, so she gonna call some shit out. Like, she's called it out. Like, I'm gonna be who I'm going to be. Like, the same way she talks shit, I talk shit. But for some reason, I'm ghetto and a dirty debutante for doing the same thing, for talking trash in a game that is built with this trash.
Like, what?
It's literally part of the game. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Angel Reese. Like, baby girl, it didn't go your way, but we absolutely like want to give you, well, I want to give you your flowers because number one, you ball first of all, and you have not changed who you are because people are talking shit. They cannot do what you do. Period. And most of the time, that's why people talk shit because they wish they could do what you do.
No, that post conference just was good. Her post conference was really good. I mean, she just pointed out what needed to be said, and I love the fact that it to me it gave me two things. Number one, it showed me that yes, literally grown 43-year-old men who have never competed on that level and never probably will.
And never will.
Are attacking a 20-year-old, 21-year-old. Y'all know how stupid.
Just announced she's going pro, by the way. I just saw that.
You said what?
She just announced she's going pro.
She's going pro? Oh, I wanted her to stay another year. But
I wanted her to finish too. Yeah.
I want her to stay one more year, but I ain't mad at it. Go ahead, Angel. Do your thing. But that's the main thing that it showed me. It showed me that she is still a young person. And then that too, we literally have people who have never operated on that level or competed on that level have issues with how they handle each other. And no, if you've ever competed at a higher level in anything, shit is going to be talked.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that you don't have a certain level of respect for each other. Like, I don't care how many people I disagree with in the journalism world. Like, if you can write your ass off, motherfucker, you can write, period. Like, if you're good at, like, so it does, like, it's like me and you being on different sides of the spectrum on different issues. It's great, but, like, it doesn't take away your brilliance. It doesn't take away your ability to develop an argument and put it out there in a way that's compelling. So, yeah, either way, the respect is there. And I have seen that between the two of them, between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Like, I have seen, even with the ring thing last year, it was funny. But I don't know if you remember in the post-game interview, she was like, yeah, I mean, that's trash talk. Like, I got big love for that girl. Like, she's the shit. And so I appreciate that about both of them. Like, the sportsmanship is there. And I feel like other people's want for cattiness between them is like where it gets messy and murky.
And she tweeted and congratulated when she broke that record. So she had to show I ain't no hater, and I don't think she is a hater. But I do think she's a competitor.
It's hard to hate people when you good at show shit yourself. Like, it's real hard to hate.
She got a healthy respect for Caitlin. You ball. And when you compete on that level, it's a lot easier for you to understand and respect other people who compete on that level. So
good shit. Well, we're in the final four now, so I'm excited to see what happens next.
We watching it.
Yes, yes. All right, you want to check in?
Let's check in. For me, I'm doing really good. I've just been, I don't know, I just feel like this week was a little busier than what I expected. Wasn't supposed to be. It felt like it was supposed to be, but it has been. So we getting out of that. Because this weekend is going to actually be a cool, relaxing weekend. I don't have anything planned for tomorrow or Saturday, thank goodness. So I'm going to be chilling until the brunch.
Nice. And congratulations on Dallas Black Canvas. They did Dreamgirls.
Yes.
I didn't get to go, but I heard it was incredible.
Yes. Shout out to Tar. Shout out to Cam for producing it. Shout out to Mal for being a director. Shout out to all the dancers and singers. We turned up that night.
Lovely. Shout
out to my boy Lorenzo at KISS for holding us down. We had a good time. Production was good. We got through it.
I love it. Was it recorded or anything?
I don't think we recorded. Nah, we didn't record. I should have though. But.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. I'll be at the next one. I will be paying attention. So that's dope. I'm good. I'm having a busy week myself. But all good things. Got to Orlando just a couple hours ago. So I'm actually about to get ready to go to this dinner or whatever. Get the night started.
Okay.
Yeah, all good things happening.
Okay. Well, enjoy Orlando, and then we gonna catch you when you get back.
Yes, I will be back Sunday, so I'll be back in the studio ready to go next week.
Okay. Shout out to Kenny. Shout out to Sour Kids Productions for holding us down. We ran a little over this time, so we appreciate your patience.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all.
Make sure y'all like and subscribe, follow the page, repost, comment, all of that.
And all right. Oh, and shout out to B Nation. So I recorded her podcast, Conversations with Nation, a while ago. So episode 3 dropped today. You can check it out. Conversations with Nation by the Nation Network. It's on YouTube. We're talking about politics in the Black community and how that overlaps and intersects with everything from the church to our financial well-being, all that shit. So go check it out. Yep.
I sat behind B Nation at the part of the production.
She told me she was gonna be there. Yeah, I love it.
So.
I love it. All right, y'all. Well, we will see you next week. And Gabe, Kenny, I'll see y'all soon.
Peace.
All right.